XRP did something last night that only 4 other coins in the top 50 didn't do. It underperformed. And I know how that sounds. Why would I be excited about that? Because while Bitcoin ripped 3.5% and Cardano led the charge at 4.4, XRP barely moved 1.58%. In a market where fear is sitting at 12, extreme fear, and everything else is bouncing hard off oversold conditions, XRP is coiling, and I've seen this before. I know what happens next when XRP goes quiet while the rest of the market makes noise. Let me show you what I'm looking at. XRP closed at $1.12. That's important because we've now spent 8 consecutive days between $1.08 and $1.15. 8 days. That's not drifting, that's compression. The daily candles are getting tighter. Volume is dropping, but not collapsing. And here's the thing nobody's talking about. We're building a base right above the 200-day moving average at $1.06. Every time XRP has built this kind of tight range above that level in the last 3 years, the breakout has been violent. I'm talking 15 to 25% in under 5 days. The reason I'm watching this so closely right now is because of where Bitcoin is. BTC just reclaimed 63,000 after spending 2 weeks below it. That's a technical level that matters. It's the 30% retracement from the all-time high. And here's what's wild. Ethereum couldn't hold its equivalent level. Solana couldn't either. But Bitcoin did. And when Bitcoin holds a level that the rest of the market can't, that tells me one thing. Institutional money is defending it. That's not retail. Retail gave up 2 weeks ago when the fear and greed index hit 11. This is bigger money stepping in. And when that happens, XRP doesn't move immediately. It waits, it compresses, then it explodes. I want to be specific about the chart because this is where the next 72 hours get decided. $1.15 is the ceiling right now. We've tested it 3 times in the last week and rejected every single time. That's resistance, that matters. It's also the 50-day moving average. If we break through $1.15 with volume, and I'm talking about at least 30% above the 10-day average, we're going straight to $1.28. That's the next major resistance, and it lines up perfectly with the golden pocket retracement from the April high. But here's the other side. If we lose $1.08, and that's the support we've been bouncing off since June 3rd, we're probably going to retest $1 flat. That's where the 200-day sits, and that's where I think real buyers show up. The zone I'm watching obsessively is $1.10 to $1.12. We're in the middle of it right now. Breakout or breakdown gets decided here. Now let's talk about what Bitcoin is doing and why it actually matters for XRP this time. BTC is up 3.52% in a market that's bleeding fear. The S&P dropped 1.6%, NASDAQ down 2%, but Bitcoin held. That divergence is massive. And here's the parallel I keep coming back to. September 2023, we had a similar setup. Stocks were selling off. Fear index was in the teens. Bitcoin chopped sideways for 11 days, right above a key moving average, while everything around it tried to find a bottom. Then it ripped 18% in 9 days and dragged the entire market with it. XRP lagged for the first 4 days of that move. Then it did 29% in 6. I'm not saying we're in an exact replay, but the structure rhymes. And right now, XRP is lagging again while Bitcoin firms up. If history doesn't repeat, but it echoes, this is the echo. Here's what the smart money is doing, and this is straight from on-chain data I'm looking at this morning. Over the last 48 hours, we've seen 212 million XRP move off exchanges. That's net outflow, not inflow, outflow. That means wallets are pulling supply off the market. And it's not just one whale, this is distributed across 18 large wallets. When I see that kind of coordinated accumulation during a period of price compression, that's not random, that's positioning. Compare that to Ethereum, where we saw inflows of $4.3 billion worth of ETH onto exchanges in the same window. That's sell pressure building. XRP is doing the opposite. It's tightening supply while the price goes sideways. And if you know anything about how breakouts work, you know that's the exact condition you want to see before a leg up. Now let's zoom out to the macro picture, because this is where it gets interesting for XRP specifically. Japan is about to pass a bill that regulates crypto like stocks. That's not some random headline. That's infrastructure. That's legitimacy. And BlackRock's income-paying Bitcoin ETF is launching at a fee that undercuts every competitor. Wall Street isn't dipping its toes in anymore. It's diving. And here's why that matters for XRP more than people realize. XRP has always been the bridge asset. It's designed for institutional flows. It's built for speed and settlement. When BlackRock makes it easier and cheaper to get exposure to Bitcoin, that brings in a new wave of capital. and that capital doesn't stop at Bitcoin. It explores, it diversifies, it looks for utility. And XRP is the most liquid, most established utility play in the top 10. I think we're 6 months away from seeing XRP-specific institutional products. And when that happens, this conversation changes completely. One coin I'm tracking today that's giving us a signal, Cardano, up 4.4%, leading the market. And here's why that's relevant to XRP. Cardano and XRP have historically moved together during early bull phases. They're both older protocols with strong communities and regulatory clarity. When Cardano leads and XRP lags, it's usually a 1 to 3 day delay before XRP catches up. If Cardano holds this move into tomorrow, I expect XRP to test $1.15 by the weekend. That's not a guess. That's pattern recognition from 16 months of watching these two trade in tandem. All right, here's where we are. 3 scenarios. Bull case, we break $1.15 with volume in the next 48 hours, reclaim the 50-day and push to $1.28 by mid next week. The trigger is Bitcoin holding 63,000 and fear index climbing back above 20. Base case, we chop between $1.08 and $1.15 for another 5 to 7 days, then break up into late June as macro stabilizes and exchange outflows continue. That puts us at $1.18 to $1.22 by month end. Bear case, we lose $1.08, retest $1 flat, and spend the next 2 weeks rebuilding support. The trigger for that would be Bitcoin losing 60,000 or a major macro shock, geopolitical or Fed related. Which one do I think happens? Base case with a tilt toward bull. Here's why. The outflows are real, the compression is real, and Bitcoin is showing strength that the broader market isn't. I don't think we collapse from here unless something breaks macro, and I think the setup for a breakout is cleaner than it's been in a month. What I'm doing, I'm watching $1.15 like a hawk. If we get a 4-hour close above it with volume, I'm adding. If we lose $1.08, I'm waiting for $1 flat and loading there. The worst thing you can do right now is nothing. This range is about to resolve, and when it does, you either positioned or you didn't. One more thing, we're in extreme fear, 12 on the index, and I've been doing this long enough to know that extreme fear is where the best setups hide. Not because fear is bullish, but because fear is where conviction gets rewarded and panic gets punished. XRP is quiet right now, but quiet doesn't mean dead, it means loading. I'm AUL. See you tomorrow.